Let's go. I mean, we were just rambling before as...
Yeah, we were just here chit-chatting, rambling away.
Yeah, welcome back to the Rogues Passage podcast. This is the official just like homie hangout. We just finished recording some games.
Yeah.
All 3 of these guests and my companions off screen here to the left. I'm Tanner. You guys know me, I guess. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. You've been on the channel before, but go ahead.
I definitely, I've been here before, but if you haven't seen me, I am the wonderful wizard Oz. So it's good to see y'all, and so I have been dubbed a rogue in addition to other types.
Well, first time on the podcast here. Hi, I am Mercy, aka Ms. Mercy with a Z. I am a freelance photographer as well as a soon-to-be fellow streamer, and just a whole lot of goody gumdrops there.
Cheers.
I am Sierra. This is my first time being on the Rogues Passage at all. I am mostly a cosplayer along that lines. I also go by the cosplay Seer on most social media.
Yeah, and played a couple spicy decks today. That was awesome.
yeah.
I can't wait to get these episodes out to you guys so that you can see. Where do you guys want to start? We cut off a conversation that was interesting, and then we were like, let's get the microphones going. What was going on?
We were talking about copyrights and how that's been affected and things like that.
With Big Papa Hasbro.
We were particularly going into the subject with Disney and like Loki and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But
the Norse gods
like
there.
copyright with WotC and Hasbro's and stuff like that, it's kind of a hit or miss right now with what's all up in the air with them, with lawsuits, legislations, all that kind of stuff. But as it says, as long as you're not like going too directly with it, at least in my opinion, is you can still at least like have some things and sell some things that like are, hey, this is kind of like a magic related product. It's really cool. I don't think that they would come after you for it, but if you're going more direct into that magic aspect, it would probably turn into an issue.
Right. There was a custom card generator website that they did shut down. I think this was maybe a year ago. I think this happened like close to when we started doing the podcast, but there was one of the sites that people used regularly, and they took them down. They sent them like a cease and desist, and they just were like, well, I guess we just have to dissolve. And I mean, it's a custom card site. It's like not a significantly like over the top amount of programming or whatever like there. Yeah. But yeah, they got axed. And then it brought up, this was actually right near when they did Magic 30, when they were selling their own proxies for like $100 a booster pack.
And then they just immediately stopped that and was just like, hey, we know that you guys bought these, but you're not getting them. Sorry.
Oh, God, yeah.
Honestly, it feels ridiculous because it's something that is promoting the product as well. And I understand, okay, maybe you're leaving a couple shekels on the table, but because of that, you're growing your community and people like you because of it. When you cut that off, though, now you have a bunch of angry people, and now people want to boycott you because you're not being friendly. Yeah. When you play nicely with others play nicely with you.
I bet it was because of something behind the scenes that wasn't talked about or something. Like,
maybe.
Why would their legal department waste the time to do that?
Even with things that are like to the public in the news or like even on like websites and stuff like that online or whatever, there's still a lot that goes on in the background inside the company that is not being worded out.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, to be devil's advocate on here, like with the proxies and stuff like that, depending on how good the quality is of those, it can screw people over in tournaments by having too good of a quality of proxy,
right?
And therefore playing cards you don't own.
Yeah, so
and
actually
that could be a big deal.
I'd love to go back and like confirm what exactly they went up against. Whether it was maybe it wasn't a custom card site because that makes no sense. It might have been like somebody that was like a site where you can just order proxies. Yeah. Because if you can just straight up like order Smothering Tides from some other place, then yeah, you're technically like selling their IP or you're selling their product. Yeah. Like, for instance, our I don't have one on me, but our little business cards that we made, they're Rogues Passage proxy on one side, and then on the other side is our business card, and we technically can't leave them at card stores because it would cut into the people would just take those for free instead of buying the Rogues Passages in the cabinet.
It's borderline that fine line of, hey, this is a proxy, but it's a business card. Like, it's a free business card if people want to see you and whatnot, watch your live streams and whatnot. Like, they can take one, but at the same time, it's like, oh, this could play as a real card as a Rogue's Passage.
Yep.
So it's a problem. I mean, I don't personally find an issue with that just because of the factor that, like, it's Rogue's Passage. It's a cheap card realistically. You should be able to be allowed to do that. But
it's like $1, right?
I think it's like a like up to $1, maybe like $2 if anything, just for like, you know, certain popularity,
nice
market
ones.
sales kind of situation. But other than that, I don't think so.
Yeah, you know what? There has been only one other printing. Like, there's the original printing of Rogue's Passage, which they've just printed that thing like 19 times with the same art.
Yeah.
And then there was a secret layer, or there was one special edition one that was made.
Yeah.
I really would like to get one.
Oh, it is beautiful as well.
I do think
yeah.
it was a secret layer because I can't remember. I think it was actually a secret layer because it was the schematic Rogue's Passage secret layer.
Yeah.
That came out, and like, it's a gorgeous card. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
but,
for the YouTube for the YouTube viewers, it'll be right here. You'll see it. It's gorgeous. I don't know how much it is. I'm sure.
I honestly wouldn't know the price off the top of my head on it, but I mean, with the set, and yes, I understand people playing proxies because you don't want to break the bank every time that you want to go play, and you want to test out a deck and want to see how it works before you go and buy the cards too.
Yep,
that makes sense. But at the same time, if you don't, for going into like a tournament and stuff like that, you gotta make sure that everything's real. You gotta.
Indeed, yeah. And I mean, like, I find it weird how some people are like super uptight about proxies because of how much they spent. It's just like it's such a weird thing. It's like I broke my entire family wallet for this and
for a proxy.
yeah,
exactly.
I don't know.
Just because I like to do research in the moment.
How much is it?
So regular prints are up to $1, but if you go and decide to grab a foil, it can be up to $7.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have the secret layer one there?
Secret layer one, I can actually quickly scroll around and find. Like,
wait, is that another? Did we get a Doctor Who one?
This is the Doctor Who. I'm pretty sure we can find it and put it up on the screen here for you. The Doctor Who secret layer is 50 cents. Thank you, Face to Face Games, for giving us prices. That is in the non-foil. The foil is $2. Cool. And then the secret layer drop, which we will also pull up for you guys. It's very pretty. Only exists in foil. It is a $30 card.
$30.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, you want to foil it out, make it look nice? Yeah, you gotta have to save your shekels for it.
If you are one of those bougie deck types, you know, hands down, gotta get your hands on that Rogue's Passage.
Oh yeah. All right, what else? I have no idea what we should get into here. Anybody got a topic? I didn't come prepared for any of this.
It's okay.
No notes.
Such a terrible host.
Well, I would actually be curious to go around the table and find out what color type everybody is for Magic. If you are a monocolor or if you are a few different colors. But I mean, we can start with the mono and maybe branch out.
Yeah.
Well, I went through this in our first podcast episode release, so I'm the only one that I guess is already. I landed on Jeskai.
Okay.
Because I feel like green and black are colors that I don't normally like get drawn to building. They're very powerful. They're incredible. Mm-hmm. I just find myself liking the Jeskai combinations more. So yeah, I've been over that in episode 1. If you want to watch my rambling on that, I will pass off to either one of you.
Fair enough. I know that when I first started the game, I started with mono green. That was it. I started with an Omnath mono green that just was stompy and crazy, and realized that Voltron wasn't quite getting there. So I added Hurricane in there because then you can kill the table.
What does Hurricane do?
Hurricane and Squall Line. Also, there's Borrowing of the East Wind if you have $200 to throw down on it. Are green spells that does what red does, which is damage each player. And so each player will take damage to how much mana. It's an X spell. So
sick.
Yeah. Green. I love green because it does it all. You can gain life. You can take the life. You can do all of it. So
it literally does do it all. There was especially after the original Eldraine came out, like just standard in general. It was just like come on, green just gets to do everything. Like it's just doing everything, and like it was kind of a menace there for a while, and then.
And then guilds came out.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs colors? Who needs any other colors when you have green?
Yeah.
So you started mono green.
Mono green, and I've actually moved towards to making 5-color decks just because I love playing 5-color decks, and so I mean, it is green, but I mean, green does it all. So hey,
I mean, for me, I guess it's kind of a little bit of a path for me, because when I first started playing Magic, I started playing with Modern, and my first 2 decks that I ever built was mono black vampires and mono white cat life gain.
Yeah.
So Orzhov for sure to start, but once I jumped into Commander, it was definitely Selesnya for me, because my very first Commander deck was Erebos, Roar of the World. Shout out to my boy.
That's a good card.
But over time and gaining experience in Magic, I definitely would have to say that I overall am a Wooburg player, just because I love being able to create color combination decks. I love playing tribe colored style decks. Anything to do with 3 different colors is my jam.
Sick.
Yeah.
them shards are good.
Love me my shards. Alara.
What about you?
Well, I'm still fairly new to Magic, so I really enjoy my mono colors. They're very easy to build for me. Like Mercy here, I started mostly on Modern decks. I believe the first one I played was a black and green fight deck.
Yeah.
Just so that everybody knows,
enjoyed
it
that.
was Fighterator, so it's fighting and Phyrexian Obliterator. That was the combo on that one.
That's some dangerous.
Just because I passed that one off to her, and she's like, "I love this."
And I loved it. It was so cruel, and I realized black is definitely my color. It's great. Life gain, killing people right out. So much fun, but red on top of that. Gotta have some red in there. It's just gotta be so much more fun with red.
Sick. I'm really excited that we have a new Phyrexian Obliterator in Vindicator.
Oh yeah,
the one that's in white, which actually one of at the face-to-face tour, I sat down to do the Pioneer challenges.
Okay.
And in the second day, my second opponent, I played him, and he was talking about, he's like, yeah, I was thinking of playing this deck. I landed on this one. And he was talking, he's like, yeah, I've got a Phyrexian Vindicator Pioneer deck. And I was just like, can I please see that list? He basically had it like built like, it was Boros.
Okay.
Which is like, it's hard to play those cards in 2-color decks.
Yeah, because they're so colored.
Yeah, it's like white, or black, right?
Yeah, those pips are hard to...
He had it basically so that it was like the Phyrexian Vindicator, and then you would, you had the Wildfire Eternal in red or whatever, where it's like a flicked 4. But if you attack with it, it's a 1/4. If you attack with it and it's unblocked, you can cast an instant or sorcery from your hand for free.
Okay.
So you're either like blocking it and taking 4, or you're casting Star of Extinction for free, hitting the Obliterator and killing your opponent. Like,
oh dang!
Basically like,
oh dang!
Yeah. And I was just like, man, I actually like would have loved to have seen that deck pop off. Like,
heck yeah, that would be
not
amazing.
against it, but
yeah, no, somebody else can deal with that.
Yeah, I also built a Phyrexian Obliterator deck for Kali. It's is a black and blue, and it's built around the sirens that force your opponent to attack.
Oh, so there you go.
You get the Obliterator out. If you like, it needs a better mana base to get the Obliterator out. But if you get it out, you can basically like at the start of combat be like, you have to attack with that creature. And
Come at me.
It's fun. It's kind of janky, but jank decks are amazing.
Oh, jank decks are how it's.
I mean,
I love them.
Jank decks, in my opinion, are just where the fun is. It's like, it doesn't matter if the deck works or not, as long as you're having fun. It's just that's the point.
Yeah, so you played 2 monocolored decks today, and both of them were proficient.
Oh my god. Yeah. I've gone up against both of those decks before, and like both times every time I've played against her with those decks, they're terrifying. Talk about Varagoth.
Here, Brady. We're gonna do the Rogues Roundtable here. We're just gonna tap out. You want to jump in?
Okay.
All right, here comes Brady.
There was the mention of Varagoth. Are we referring to...
Kaka enters a magpie.
When you say Varagoth, were you referring to my
Yes, you were Varagoth, which the reason why I came running over here is like during yesterday's stream, I straight up just ranted about it, and then I'm like, it's got this and that, and that's all I'm going to say about it. And then I was just like, so...
So for Varagoth, it was a 100 commander deck, mono black. Literally the only cards that did anything in the deck was straight up ad nauseum and sickening dreams. and the rest of the deck was 97 lands. One of them being Glacial Chasm.
That's so silly.
The whole point of the deck was to play lands, get Varragoth out, swing with Varragoth, and boast. Is it boast? Yeah,
It is boast.
Boast him. So you basically tutor for Sickening Dreams. Yeah, no, not Sickening Dreams.
Ad nauseum.
Yeah, you tutor for Ad nauseum. So when you tutor for Ad nauseum and you play Ad nauseum, you reveal or look at the top card of your library, and you can put it to your hand, but you lose life equal to its CMC. With the deck being 97 lands, you ain't losing any life until you hit Ad nauseum.
Yeah, I've gone against it once, and it was just like, oh, that's what that does.
Yeah. So you keep going until you find Sickening Dreams. You lose the life equal to Sickening Dreams, and then once it hits your turn, you can keep going until you find Glacial Chasm, basically, which is what you really want to do, because on that final turn, you play Glacial Chasm, which makes it so you can't lose life, and then you play Ad nauseum and you discard. Or you play Sickening Dreams, discarding your entire hand, which is all lands, and then everybody loses life equal to the amount of cards discarded this way. In a 100-card deck, 90% of the time you're going to be losing like 94 to 96 lives.
Yeah,
so.
90. It's mono black bomb.
It was
That's
uber,
awesome.
It was uber jank. It was like a one-trick pony, but I've only ever played it like maybe 4 or 5 times, and it was always to people that never seen it happen, and I was just like, straight up, you guys can keep going, but I just want to play this deck just for the lol. Every single time, everybody has lost it because I keep revealing lands off the top of my library.
It's so satisfying.
I mean, talk about an inexpensive deck, though. I mean, all you have to do is have lands.
What was the budget be? I guess Ad nauseum is literally the most
The budget
expensive
to the
card.
deck was $20.
$20.
Amazing. Going up again.
It maybe for me particularly was a little bit more expensive just because we went after like the fancy foil lands.
Gotta be
like the
bougie.
fancy foil basic swamps and stuff like that. But like Glacial Chasm, not that expensive at all. It's like a $3 card roughly about there or something like that. It may have changed since I got it. Varragoth, like literally the most amount of money you're putting into the deck is always going to be the lands.
Yeah.
So the cheapest things out of the deck was literally those 4 cards that do things.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, though, sitting down at a table with somebody that has like a $2,000 deck? And
I would love to see that happen.
You sit down and then you just destroy them with this $20 deck, and they're like,
I'd buy tickets for that shit.
"Oh, that would be amazing."
I think I actually pulled that on. I can't even remember. We had a game night at my place the one night, and someone actually they brought a very expensive deck to the table. And as always, rule 0 for me when I play Varragoth is I'm always just like, hey, I'm playing this deck. It's jank. It's a one-trick pony. Don't worry. It's meant to get to the win con, but when it comes down to the win con, it's basically just me showing it off. I'm going to scoop, so then that way y'all can still keep playing, but this is just how I just want to show this off.
I love
it's
it.
just
It's like,
absolute
goes bang.
pure hilarity.
Guys, mind if I just flex?
I just want to flex my $20.
And leave. I'll just leave. It's fine. It's cool. I just want to show you my stuff.
It was absolutely funny every
Can
time.
I just?
Speaking of jank, so recently, and actually I'm grateful that you're here because you were there for it. So in my John Arenicus deck, which is largely I think my most silly jankiest deck, kind of rude but also janky, I have recently found this. I uncovered this ancient legendary creature called Taniwa, which has phasing and then also phases out your lands. So in John Arenicus, what you do is you give away a creature at your end step, and it comes onto another battlefield. You give it 2 +1/+1 counters, and it has for the rest of the game is goaded and cannot be sacrificed. So you give away Taniwa, and then as soon as their turn starts, I think he phases out, right?
No,
He phases out, and then
phases out on
a
first
rotation
turn.
happens, and then as he phases in, your lands then phase out, and it's just like, okay, what just happened there? And when I first played, I was Stephen Friend first player actually was the one because he was like, I don't think I've ever seen what John Arenicus Taniwa. He was like, okay, it was awesome, incredibly weird interaction. I still died. Who did we lose to again? It was to that one guy who was playing Sauron. I think it was Sauron we died to, didn't we?
I'm not sure if I was there for that one.
No, you were. It was you were sitting right across from me.
I do remember Taniwa.
You were playing Balrog.
The
It was
Balrog
game, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I gave
No,
you Janila because you couldn't sacrifice it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do anything about it. And so every second turn was, okay, you have lands. Now you don't have lands.
It only lasted a little while. Like Sauron ended up doing some things, and he went infinite with some kind of weird like kind of combo because he had the really strong one.
It was
precon was just a really modified, very heavily modified precon.
Pretty modified, yeah. But it's fun to see those janky little combos go off because it's not what everybody else sees.
Is it janky? Speaking of that one combo you busted off in one of our games today with your mono red deck.
Oh, yeah.
Dealing how much maths? The hell was that?
We decided to stop after the third creature was targeted, and I was up to 114 damage. Brando still had a full board of creatures. So we decided to stop. It was Fiery Emancipation, and I managed to cast off an Electro Dominance, where X was equaling 6.
Yeah, and your commander...
My commander was Torolf, God of Fury.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do the Electro Dominance, which then let me play the Fiery Emancipation on my upkeep for free because of that. And so it just blew up after that.
Have the damage roll over, triple it, roll over, triple it.
Yeah.
The largest I've actually calculated it going out to, because we usually stop after the time I reach about 100 to 200. We calculated the most to being about 700 million damage I directed at one of my friend's faces the last time I played it.
Would you call that a kiss? Or was like, I just want to do this because I love you. Just for you, babe.
No, that is the epitome of the Flash's infinite mass punch right there. That's just,
it's a big number. Do you love me?
Here, I gave you a present. It's for you.
I was just saying to her, we should design you a proxy of Torolf as Poison Ivy, and then just make it so like, rather than it just saying, excess damage carries over, blah blah blah, like it can just be like every time you kiss something, it dies, kiss something else.
But next to the symbol, it's just like it's mono red. Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy and her poisonous kiss.
What would her colors be? Honestly, she might actually be something like Naya.
As a Poison Ivy,
I feel
Naya,
she would
honestly, be like
maybe
red, probably Naya.
Red Gruul.
I find her more as like a Gruul kind of situation, but at the same time, like, I feel that Poison Ivy would be a really good, like, Phyrexian, like, maybe poison counter style deck.
Kind of
because,
weird,
because she's got the poisonous kiss, right? So, like, every time, like, if you swing with her and she makes contact.
Maybe not infect, but, like, Wither.
Something
Wither
like
would be
that.
fun.
Yeah.
I would love to see Wither come back.
You know what?
Wither
That's one
would be
mechanic.
so nice.
I just uncovered it. It's like creatures you control deal damage. Creatures you control have Wither, and I was just like, "What the fuck did I just uncover from my bulk? How did I just be sitting on this?" Because it's an old mechanic from Lorwyn. Honestly, it's just Infect before Infect was really, really, really broken, I suppose. I think Lorwyn came out before Mirrodin, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was also only applicable to creatures.
Yeah.
Because it was -1/-1 counters rather than poison counters being applied to the players. But also at the same time, like Infect was like it originally started as Wither, where it was just straight -1/-1 counters, and then it evolved into Infect, which was -1/-1 counters to creatures and
then poison counters.
and a poison counter to the player. And now there's Toxic, which is strictly the damage from the creature being dealt and a poison counter on top of that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I do appreciate Toxin more than Infect.
I really enjoyed seeing the upgrade to that. That was a really fun, like, here's how Phyrexia just keeps getting worse.
Or expanding and about to get like put out because they basically did an Icarus, right?
Yeah.
Like they got too big. And now obviously the whole story with the world tree being all interconnected, and now we're gonna have some weird, Metropolis style approach to story writing here soon.
It does seem a little bit weird, like there's no more like planeswalkers anymore, unfortunately.
I think it's still gonna be a little bit of a thing. I don't think they're gonna take that away completely. It's taking away an incredibly integral aspect of the story. So it'll have like a renaissance or something.
I mean, like for lore wise,
resurgence.
No, planeswalkers are no longer a thing. Yeah. For the Magic the Gathering lore. However, for gameplay, especially with them finally recognizing Oathbreaker as an official format, I definitely do think that we are still going to be expecting some planeswalkers in the future.
Yeah, at least some.
Yeah.
Bare minimum, because at this point, suddenly, and I mean this, like some planeswalkers, everyone's just like passed over. These are going to be just gobbled up, and suddenly we're going to see an influx in price rises from ones you wouldn't even expect, like worth anything. Narset the one that just stops
Harder
people from
avails.
drawing cards. Yeah, you
Oh,
can just
yeah.
do Narset Wheels is super rude. It's rude. And then 58 cards, like what the fuck? Yeah,
Actually, speaking of Oathbreaker, I was having this conversation with my boyfriend when we just got into Oathbreaker. We just started building Oathbreaker decks, and we've been really obsessed with it lately. We were actually talking about really good staples that belong in Oathbreaker decks. So main card staples for sure is it goes in any color deck because of the factor that it is an artifact creature. It is colorless. Hex Parasite.
Hex Parasite?
You remove counters
yeah.
from target permanent.
Oh, fuck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hex Parasite is
So Hex
devastating.
Parasite, like if you're playing an Oathbreaker where you're ideally going after the ultimate, like the ulti, like the Planeswalker's ulti, Hex Parasite can prevent that. It can make it go by slower.
That's weird.
If you're playing a blue Planeswalker deck, you can also run Golberry from the Lord of the Rings set. She moves counters from permanents and puts them on other things.
Who's that? What's that one Phyrexian thing that redirects things onto itself? What's that called again?
Oh God.
Artifact creature. It doesn't have, and it has no. I'm pretty sure it's just an artifact creature, right?
Spellskite.
Spellskite. Yeah, that'd be
that's
rude.
a decent one.
I'd almost.
Vampire Hexmage is
Super
one that
good.
removes all counters off of things.
Thief of
100%, no.
Blood as well.
Yeah.
I was really stoked to find 3 of those in my collection, and apparently right now they're actually a bit pricey. I had no idea about that because it's really rude. Just at a sacrifice, which is incredibly recurable. You just remove all counters from target permanent.
Yep.
Isn't it?
That
so
Vampire Hexmage, absolutely.
yeah,
You
so
sacrifice it. Yeah.
well, Liliana's kind of inspired by that. My companion spell for run, and yours is actually the one that I got by chance on my birthday from you from the booster pack. So that's my commander. That's my Liliana Oathbreaker. Not to copy Brandon. You know, there's only so many planeswalkers, I suppose, compared to actual legendary creatures. But my choice of spell is Price of Betrayal, which is literally just remove target permanent 5 counters from creature or permanent and then person or whatever it is, and planeswalker. So I was like, that's just a nice little, okay, how am I going to actually deal with this? You know, and it's basically just me, you know, and essentially it's also Liliana Tribal. So every single spell in it. So I'm not even sure how strong it's going to be, but minus the whole flavor, because my original brew for this, before I turned into Oathbreaker, was just Liliana Tribal with just the demons. And I'd always have rule 1 being, hey, Gristlebrand's in here. It's just purely story-based. But honestly, I just took out all the demons. Now just Liliana-based printed cards. So if it doesn't say Liliana on it, or have it immediately in the texting, or have her on the card,
Have the picture.
it's not in the deck, yeah. And I found there's still lots of them for 58 cards doesn't cut it. So I had a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
One of the things that I actually really love is that for making decks that are tribed on something really weird or wacky, like always having a Liliana in there. We also have a friend, Steve, who we've talked about. He has a deck that's called the Mustache Ride. So every single creature, every single card in it is somebody has a mustache in the picture. Someone somewhere has a mustache. And every creature has a mustache.
Bruce Tarl, 100%.
Oh, Bruce Tarl is one of the commanders.
That's funny. Yeah.
And then the rest is vehicles as well. So mustache ride.
I actually, he had a General Motors brew that I think he designed himself using vehicles, and General Marhaut Elstragon, which is one of the pauper available legendary creatures that came out of the last Baldur's Gate set. Mm-hmm. And I got really inspired by it because I love the mechanic, and his is pretty cool, but mine's all about provocation, like Nemesis Mask, Provoke, Must Be Blocked, and then Menace. And so basically every time I swing out, most creatures get +3/+3, or creatures get +3/+3 for each creature blocking it. So it's just a really cool way to field wipe people on combat, and then getting in really free damage pretty much everywhere else.
Oh yeah.
So I want to make this one of my more competitive brews. I think I can do it. Just I need red counter spells out the butt and a lot of green protection spells, because otherwise it's just a wide open wound right now. Every time I try to do anything too big, it's like, no, Brady, you can't do that. I'm like, okay.
Flying too close to the sun, Icarus.
Yeah, I do this. No, I do that quite a lot. I build a crazy board state. People are like, hey! And then I get killed right away.
Yeah.
I get really excited. I want to do all the things.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's hard to hold back when you see all of the stuff in your hand. You're like, I could do all of it. Yes, yes. And then you just unload everything there, and they're like, oh, that needs to stop right now. So it is some give and take for sure. Gotta be sneaky.
it's all about that. Give and take.
It is like any deck build and everything like that is always about some give and take. Like, you see a card that's just like, oh my god, this would be so hilarious in the deck, but is it worth having in the deck?
Or even on top of that, just like even a card that is so powerful and you're like, oh, this card is amazing. We absolutely need to play it. But then it becomes a lightning rod because everyone's going to try to get rid of it.
I play Blightsteel Colossus. Everyone just acts casual. I'm like, oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, very cool. But inside they're screaming and going, that needs to die.
What is that, a Vorinclex?
Exactly.
Another very good example of that actually is Tier Grid. Tier Grid is
What about my Bay?
She is salt-inducing no matter
100%.
where she's at.
There's
Commander
no
99,
question.
it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to run her in any regular mono black deck. You're going to run her in decks that specifically make people discard cards or sacrifice stuff.
Something that's
because of the factor that she takes all of that kind of stuff. You have her in the 99. It doesn't matter if she's more dangerous as a commander because you can keep bringing her back. But if you have her in the 99, she's still going to become a number one target because she's still taking stuff
Guaranteed.
from you.
Guaranteed. My first commander tournament, one of the games I won against Emery's team was using Turgid. I eventually got there, but I had to, and I don't even think I had no wheel or anything, but it was just like the right turn, and it was a crunch between. The game took literally longer than anyone expected. It was like an hour and 45 minutes, and I was playing Tiny Bones, and my buddy was playing Ishai and Elsior, and then we were going against Amareth and Quasar. And it was a really weird pairing up. We thought we were going to get wheeled to death because of Quasar, but we ended up, I had just enough momentum with my low to the ground CMC, discard spells. And I was able to kind of control hands just a little bit. But then it came down to Tyson covering everything else with control and removal, the counter spell control and then removal, permanent removal, sorry. And it was constant back and forth. And like, no matter what, we survived on both sides, multiple field wipes. And eventually, finally, the very end, when I had 8 mana, I had a Turgid. And then I had, I think, Dark Deal, eventually a card draw in. And I was just like, okay. And then the game was over.
Oh, the
game was literally over.
The
game was literally over. I ended up attaining like I think 15 permanents.
Yep.
It was insane.
Just one turn, whoomp, flood the board.
Or not 15, it was something like 14 or... I already had like a little bit of a board state, so just mixed with everything else. It was just like, okay, give me your hands.
Yeah.
Spells, you can keep those. Oh no, they can just put those in the graveyard. Sorry, because it's just that rude, especially. I'm thinking actually for a tournament, me and Emery are going to be doing a nice, interesting pairing with something similar to that concept. So we'll see where that's going. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be fun.
Attrition.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, maybe. No.
Just a little.
No.
just a little.
No, it's fun. It's just a team synergy tournament that we're hoping to throw. Because before all those other clauses, before all the other times that we've tried doing this time, the first time I tried doing it for my birthday recently, it was just like, okay, too much moderating the rules and too much chaos coming from it, like land destruction and just weird outs for removing the color blue. Yeah. Well, you weren't just the only one. It was like everybody else. I was like, holy crap, like take away one color and everyone wants to lean on land destruction? Interesting psychology. But yeah, I know. So this time I think it's just going to be open, like power 7 to 8 flexibly, whatever that means. We're going to be releasing like a quick podcast about our ideas of that, especially going through judges and making it very, very sound because we don't want anyone to get upset. We have competitive players coming from different podcasts, from out of town, from our own pod. So it's going to be exciting. It'll be really, really exciting.
Welcome everyone and all. That sounds amazing to have. It's good to build a community and have everybody just collaborate in on it. It's going
to be good. Into the 99 are going to be joining. I think, hopefully. You guys better. It'd be great. And then, we have some people from Airdrie coming down. I think my friend from Vernon wants to come down. But we also want to make it open-ended to some capacity. So as much as we can orchestrate a tournament, I don't want us to be, like, it just feels like we're, like, pulling strings, marionetting it too much. And I don't like that. I really want it to be also as much an organic process as well as it is one that's structured. So we'll see how that goes. We still have some time. We have like 3 weeks. So it's been so busy with Fright Night on their end as DJs. I've been moving around a whole bunch. Brandon also had to move. So we've kind of we have good momentum, but we've also kind of it's just been an interesting way to, life's been interesting in order for us to really, kind of make things more, organized on the whole tournament front. Because we'd love to do that more, but.
It is funny how because when you think that you're making the progress and you're moving forward, and then you're like, and then something knocks you back, and you're like, oh, I've been knocked back, but it's not really knocking you back. It's putting you in the place that you need to be so that you can go forward more. And I mean, it's yeah.
Hey, Brandon, I summon you.
Tag team out, wrestling.
Brando.
WrestleMania.
As to
Come
that
to me.
comment, it's the whole like fun board game scenario where it's like you move a step back, but it only allows you to move 2 steps forward.
Oh yeah. Or when someone board wipes. I mean,
5 more seconds.
it's like when someone
Should we
board
do a
wipes and then
countdown?
the person that got board wiped just comes back stronger, even faster, and you're like, oh, that was bad. Nothing worked. Why?
Yeah.
I made a mistake. I was wrong.
I think if we need a couple extra seconds, maybe a quick little break might be a good idea.
A quick little break from the
I
podcast.
need a potty break.
Okay, well then, in that case, we're going to take a momentary pause, folks, because we are still doing a live stream. So please, by all means, relieve yourself.
Yeah.
Go.
I'm gonna go relieve.
Fry, you
everything
fool!
about myself.
All right.
No, Browndo's here. You gotta stay.
Brando can do that.
All right. Well, I did have a specific topic that I'd like Mercy to be around, but you two will also fill in with that.
Yeah, no, she'll be back.
What were you all just talking about?
We was talking about the times that when as childrens we liked to play with other childrens, but they wouldn't play with us, and we all cried about it.
Now people
It
got
sounds like
them Xboxes and stuff. I used to have a stick and a wheel.
Sounds like a skill issue. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, like, we'll start firing off into this. I'm excited for Mercy's input on a lot of this stuff as well. So the Universes Beyond nonsense is starting to get a little out of control here, and like I love it and I hate it. A lot of cool cards. We've got the Doctor Who decks kind of sitting around. Brady's already cracked into the villains.
I fucking love it so much.
And I doubled down from what I said on, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 podcasts ago, of talking about like the Doctor Who decks. Of half of every card in these decks is just a nuke by itself, waiting to be put into some other deck that makes it run. I'm personally torn about tearing them apart. Like they're kind of just
They're so wonderful.
they're so themed out nicely that it hurts me to want to like break them apart.
Is that good deck construction then? Or they do really good with the set? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Like, you want it. It's okay. I'm literally this torn. I want to either tear it apart or just even make them better.
Yeah. But in general, because I'm sure you all have seen like everything that the Universes Beyond has kind of been focusing on.
Couple spoilers.
Two real questions for y'all. First being, how do you all feel about like Universes Beyond now that we're into the nitty gritty of it? Like,
Ooh, this is a conversation that I have been interested in talking about.
I knew you would.
Universes Beyond. It's a little bit of a hit or miss opinion for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like I'm really liking that they're doing collaborations with something else, like how they did Dungeons and Dragons. Like Dungeons and Dragons has been owned by Wizards of the Coast for a very long time now. So that one I was actually really happy about to see as a card game. It was really cool. The Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who, that kind of stuff. That's like age long. Doctor what?
Doctor what?
Yeah, like those things have been very huge in the fan base and long time building. Like Lord of the Rings started as books. It was very popular as books before it became movies, and then the movies just blew everything up, even for like everyone around our age range. Like the Lord of the Rings movies was like all of it for us, right?
Oh yeah, I started watching Lord of the Rings as soon as I could. I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
To the point where I think I have 2 separate copies of the extended editions.
Yeah. And then Doctor Who has been around for like what, 60 years
We are
now?
1963.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So like it's really awesome how they're reaching out, and I guess it's a way for them to try and build their fan base for the game, but at the same time I like it. I like seeing the different themes about it. Also, as the hit or miss scenario, I find it's kind of a way for them to try and snag the money.
Oh yeah, no, I thought the exact same thing. It's a little,
it's an obvious cash grab, which so many of us love and so many of us hate, because like we get it, especially as a company in the modern day and age. It was inevitable that we were going to be hitting this point, especially like long before Secret Lair, long before like the Universes Beyond. What the first proper crossover was Dynasty Warriors, and it wasn't really like a full crossover. It was functionally
Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
it was historically accurate people out of that era of the world who were kind of transcribed into it, but it was because of Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah.
So like they've been kind of on the kick. Even Arabian Nights, one of like the OG sets of Magic the Gathering, really kind of like delved into. It's like, okay, this isn't even like Magic the Gathering.
That was like pseudo Disney Aladdin.
Yeah, this is real world place, real world vibe, real world everything going on. It's like, okay, so they haven't really like crossed a boundary that they haven't before, but it has been getting a little bit much.
Especially when you put the actual name on it, people see it and it clicks in their head and they're like, oh yeah, I need that because that's my niche. That's what I want. And so, I mean, it does feel cash grabby. It does, like it absolutely has that. But at the same time, when even all of us that love playing Magic just in and of itself, when you see the Autobots that are there, you're like, oh, yes, of course I want to play this because who doesn't want to play Optimus Prime?
Yeah,
and
it is weird though being at the point now where it's just like, okay, so we have, I'm gonna throw, Gimli is gonna attack you, and it's gonna trigger Optimus Prime's ability, which is gonna make the third Doctor do these things, and it's like, oh my god, yeah.
Honestly, I have been heavily debating, but it would be so expensive to do, is to get all of the different Universes Beyond things. Get Lord of the Rings in there, Doctor Who, the every single one of them, and so that it is just like stuff from your past that you know and love, and that's all you're playing with. Nothing that
So
nothing else.
It's actually funny that you mentioned that, because the Aragorn deck that I played earlier today, once again, that is my boyfriend's deck, so I was playing it with him in spirit. But he is actually planning on turning that into a Universes Beyond deck, and because Secret Lair also has like Stranger Things, Street Fighter, Walking Dead, all that kind of stuff, he's literally throwing every multiversal thing in there. I'm
doing kind of the same thing. It's not going to be pure Universes Beyond, but the second that I saw the Doctor Who sets and Missy specifically, whenever a non-artifact creature an opponent controls dies, exile it, and then it comes to your battlefield as a 2/2 Cyberman instead of its original typing, which I thought was just super cool. But what I've done is, because I bought the Necrons, the Warhammer 40k, and so we're turning Missy into the commander for that, for Cybermen, Daleks, and Necrons. And then when we get the Fallout set and some of the stuff coming out of that, it's not going to be pure Universes Beyond, because there's so much good stuff out of Magic itself for Artifact Tribal. But one thing I'd be super curious about for all of you though is what so far, like, have you all seen the list-ish of what we're expecting for Universes Beyond?
I'm relatively caught up with it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a few, like we're getting Final Fantasy, we're getting Fallout,
right?
We're getting
Final Fantasy, Fallout. We're also getting. I don't know if that already came out or not, but we're supposed to be getting Princess Bride stuff.
Interesting. Okay, that'll be interesting.
I have seen some spoilers for that.
I know with the Ixalan we're getting...
Yeah, we're getting... Ixalan is actually the set that's coming out next.
And that's Jurassic Park themed stuff?
Yeah, that's the Universes Beyond situation for them, and it's just because Ixalan is very popular for its dinosaurs and stuff like that, so of course... Universe Beyond, it makes sense to throw in dinosaurs, like from Jurassic Park and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. But I'm curious towards what you guys think. Like, what so far out of the Universes Beyond, or even the Secret Lairs that are kind of like drifting into other IPs, what's your favorite? And which is like the ones that you aren't a fan of? Like, if you have like a top of either so far. Like, for me personally, the Doctor Who, unfortunately for loving the decks. Here, while we talk about some of the Universes Beyond, let's just get these in front of the camera.
Features.
Features. I do not like Who in my Magic, ironically. But the Warhammer 40K, like, I fucking loved. It felt weirdly enough, like, just sci-fi enough where it kind of made sense. Where Doctor Who is like, I don't know, it's too real world, right? It feels...
Actually, along those same lines, I wasn't a big fan of the Walking Dead ones. They didn't feel as magic-y. It was more so just, I mean, to all those Walking Dead fans out there, sorry, but like it just didn't feel as magic.
Yeah.
It was very real world.
Yeah. Well, for The Walking Dead in particular, it was the first like originally designed cards that were coming out through Secret Lair, and a lot of people had a really negative opinion about that. They were just like, why are you making original cards? Like, this doesn't make sense. Turns out, pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think the biggest debacle off of that specifically, too, was the fact that it was only Secret Lair available. So if you didn't get the cards through Secret Lair, you just couldn't get them. I don't know if they've printed them yet, or we've gotten maybe one or two. We do know now for a fact that all of them are being reprinted as in-universe versions. So it's going to be like straight actual Magic the Gathering IP property instead of just that. So it'll kind of be like the weird like secondary named cards.
Stranger Things and Street Fighter are the biggest examples of that because I think it was Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow got Stranger Thing character reprints for in-universal situations, and then I don't remember which set it was that brought back the Street Fighter cards.
Oh, I'm not sure either.
I can't remember. It was one of the more recent ones, but I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
But I think as for favoritism for me, I don't really. It's kind of classified as a multiversal thing, but at the same time, they didn't actually declare it. But I would have to give it to Innistrād's Dracula.
Oh yeah.
Alt art prints.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's kind of.
I love
nice.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It does feel very on theme for it. It's,
It was one of those like multiversal reprint things that was just it just blended right into the set perfectly.
Yeah.
Being a player who I usually pick my decks based off of the artwork, I'm not a huge fan of the other universes because if I wanted to worry about that artwork, I'd just go and watch the shows or the movies.
Yep.
And I prefer seeing the original artwork that comes up in these. Like, my favorite artwork so far has actually been Olivia the Crimson Bride. If that was in another world or in one of the universes it wouldn't have been quite as nice because it would have just been a copy or a play off of what's already existed, right?
And honestly, one of the other things is that when does it go too far though? Because there are other card games that are coming out. We've seen a bunch of. There's a Disney card game that's coming out.
Lorcana.
They've got.
They're recently doing a One Piece one as well coming out.
That's already out, and it's actually turning into a very big thing already.
I mean, not surprising. One Piece, even by just Japanese standards, is still like their top, like culturally favorite anime. Which I agree. Also, the live action the live action show.
Oh yeah.
It's super cheesy. It's super campy, and it's done just right. Where it's like it legitimately feels like you're watching an anime. It's a little jarring at first. Like the first couple episodes, like my brain wanted to be like, I don't like this. Because it feels cartoonish, and it's weird to feel cartoonish when you're watching real people. But like we've entered this era, like I'm 1 episode away from being done because I've been trying to savor it. I love it at this point. Like people complain about like, oh yeah, you see like Zoro's swords being like rubber in some scenes and like bending, and it's like I don't care. Honestly.
Oh yeah, that's all over social media. Like, sorry, spoiler alerts for those who haven't seen it, like myself included. But I've seen this happen on like TikTok and stuff like that, where like. Zoro's doing a dive roll, and then all of a sudden you see his sword go. It's like,
but in that aspect too, things like that have been going on in things all the time.
I mean, yeah, it's
even in older shows,
little like oopsie daisies that some people are just really good at catching. Like you have people who have those trained eyes. Like people like we have a friend who is in cinema school. Like he's going to school for filming and stuff like that. So like. If he were to watch this kind of stuff or anything else, he'd be like, there's the CGI problem. Like he could pick that stuff out like nothing.
Yeah. I personally, I'll take like bad practical effects, like, oh yeah, oops, the sword is bendy, over bad CGI. Because at least with like bad practical, it's like, okay, you can already tell that it's practical, and so there might be some issues. But bad CGI, you can't escape the bad CGI.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, as a cinemaphile for myself, there are two things that ruin a movie for me. One is always bad acting. If you have bad acting, I can't get past it. It's like, oh, you actually look like you're acting. This is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's also the CGI. If the CGI looks like CGI, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, you're trying to do cartoony and realism,
Or it's like, it's okay when it's one thing. It's like Beowulf, oldish film at this point. I think one of the better examples. Where it's like the whole movie is specifically shot real and then overlaid with CGI so that it is all just that pseudo CGI, and it's like it works because the suspension of disbelief, where it's like, you know what you're looking at.
It oddly worked, but it was also a fantasy style movie, so it makes sense to do stuff like that. But like, I mean, for One Piece as a show, like as you were saying, like, it looks a little cartoony. I mean, we're all used to One Piece being cartoony and stuff like that, and so it's just like sometimes when you're looking at the CGI, like for me in particular, the scenes where his arms stretch, that looks very cartoony to me, and it's probably just because of the factor it's like I'm so used to seeing that in the anime.
No, and exactly that. Either way, I mean, like, it's a good point of like where does it go too far?
Where do you draw the line?
I don't think the line does get drawn, and I think that's why they're like doubling down on the universes beyond, of just being like, okay, let's pump as much of it out as we possibly can, because I think they're at that point where, just like, honestly, I think 5 years ago, Magic the Gathering hit a specific tome that was never talked about, where the game itself became, the barrier to entry to the game became so insurmountable, of just like, hey, we've got 15,000 plus cards, we've got all of these commanders, we've got endless synergies, we've got like 8 different game types, we've got all of this different stuff. Like, the barrier to entry became almost impossible. It was like, if you are a new player, where do you start? Okay, where do you find new people to like play with?
And the learning curve was just crazy.
And the learning curve was just crazy. So you're like, you go to this shop and you want to like buy your first deck, and like maybe you have a friend who knows, or it's just you've been interested and you've never had the ability to do it. Well, yeah, where do you start? All of a sudden, now there's an in. It doesn't matter if you play the rest of the game. If you want to sit down with you and your buddy because you love Doctor Who and just play just these decks contained, no edits, you can. And like that, I think, was their answer to like, there is no too far. They've already went too far. This is how they make the game.
Double down. Yeah.
Commander is the biggest.
I do have to agree with you on those packs. As someone who's just recently been getting into Magic and trying to do that, if it wasn't for having you guys around, I'd have no idea where to start.
Yeah.
But with these new collections, being the fan of the Lord of the Rings that I am, I would have been able to just pick up a precon, not have to worry about it, and just been like, oh, this is my favorite character in the movie. Let's play them.
Right? Yeah. It just, it opens the door in a way that I don't think was going to be viable anymore. But it is like, when do we see the other crossovers? When is it going to turn into just like, okay, we've run out of IP, so now like, it's Lorcana meets Magic the Gathering. We're crossing over the games now, guys.
Breaking the fourth wall.
I just really want a Star Wars one to come out.
Oh, yeah.
There's actually talk about that.
That will have me buying probably all the precons.
Yeah. This is one thing that Magic, you need to make this happen, Wizards. Okay, this is one of those things.
You've already done it with Lord of the Rings.
All of the swords, all of the swords as lightsabers.
Oh yeah,
that would be the hottest thing ever.
Oh yeah,
you can't tell me that. I would buy into that like 100%, double down, triple down. I want them.
Could you actually just imagine the design of the swords as like lightsabers, but instead of it just being one, it's now 2 blades and 1 handle because of the dual colored scenario.
Have like the inside part and then just have like the outside glow of the lightsaber on it, or like dual-sided lightsabers like Maul. I mean, who wouldn't want that? I'm geeking out on that, but
that's actually kind of a perfect segue to my next question that I had for the three of you. So we've got Universes Beyond and all these weird properties. What is one IP out there in the world you want to see them do desperately?
Ooh. I mean, you hit me on the button on that one.
Oh, that's I mean, we've already got one of the things that I want to see, and like, for Final Fantasy, like it's a long time loved game, and it's got some really decent movies out and stuff like that. There's already a trading card game that's actually Final Fantasy. It's not very big anymore. It's mostly just a collector's item at this point. But I'm excited to see the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering stuff. But what I would absolutely love to see is Devil May Cry.
Oh, Devil May Cry would be cool.
That would be sick.
That would be interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I already have like the color ideas laid out for like, you know, Dante, Virgil, Trish and stuff like that. Like Dante would be Boros because like red and white and stuff, and then his brother would be Demir.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. Yeah.
Wizards, get on it.
One that I've heard that I would love to see as well. I mean, I know we already talked about Star Wars because I mean, you can't not. Some good vehicles in there too.
Oh yeah.
X-Wing.
Very good vehicles. The Millennium Falcon.
Oh yeah.
The Death Star.
Oh,
right.
But on top of that, I would have to say, and so actually, one of my friends talked me into it on it was the Wheel of Time.
Oh yeah.
Wheel of Time stuff would be some pretty interesting stuff going on there.
Ooh, the Wheel of Time actually. Yeah.
I mean, you could mess around with a whole lot with the Wheel of Time.
Oh yeah, the books were amazing. Like the TV show adaptation, if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it.
It is phenomenal.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see that. That would be really cool, and it would be very fitting.
You'd have some
for
really
Magic the
versatile
Gathering
and some
too.
really janky cards that you could throw in there because
Oh, yeah.
there's some stuff that you'd never see anywhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, if I were anything, I would love to see the dragon be a Wooburg card.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Another Wooburg dragon.
Another Wooburg
as if we
dragon.
needed
Well,
that.
no, like the it wouldn't be a dragon. It would be like the dragon is supposed to be a reincarnation of the most powerful like spellcaster sorcerer person in the Wheel of Time.
You could make it a Nugan.
Yeah. Ooh, that would actually be interesting.
So yeah, for our viewers.
A new Ugin.
Oh yeah. For our viewers, what is Wheel of Time?
The Wheel of Time is it's a book series that has been going on since the beginning of time. No, but I mean,
it is the Wheel of Time.
it has honestly, I'd have to look it up on when it began, but the series wasn't actually completed by the original author and was handed off to another author to finish it up after he passed.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he left him all of the notes to him and everything, and said, "Hey, I need you to do this for me because I know you're gonna do it justice."
That's cool. I
And,
like
and
that.
so-
on that note as well, for anyone who's not able to sit down and read, because I think they're up to like 13 books in the series or more than that.
There's more.
Amazon Prime has also started to release it as a TV show. So if you're
2
not
seasons.
someone who can sit there, watching a show is easier.
Oh, yeah.
You can always pull it up, and it is available on original Amazon Prime. You don't need to get any of their extra subscriptions there.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah,
I appreciate
They're
It
that.
on
is
their
a
second.
world that is- sorry.
They either finished their second season or are on their second season right now. It's really good, but just
for those who don't know,
yeah.
it is a world that is filled with magic. However, only the females can use the magic because any males that use magic go crazy.
Interesting.
And so
That's cool.
there is also a predestined male that is going to use magic, and he's going to use it to destroy the world. And so there's this whole big thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's either destroy or protect
save
it.
it.
The scenario. It depends on the person themselves because
Okay.
it's essentially like the whole basic standard of magic. There's light magic and then there's dark magic, and this one person in particular can use both.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's very like as we were saying for like a really good like multiversal thing.
Yeah.
It's very fitting for Magic because it not only has like melee style fighters,
Yeah.
like very skilled swordsmen and stuff like that. It's got the magic and the
Yeah.
whole nine.
Yeah, it's
right?
already giving off like D&D / like the new Eldraine set kind of vibes. I love that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's almost actually as old of a book series as the Lord of the Rings itself.
It is
I would not be
actually
surprised
older.
about
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really not surprised by that either. Yeah.
those are like essentially the two main book series
Yeah.
that inspired Dungeons and Dragons in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of kicked off it by talking about Star Wars. Is there anything else?
The only other one, I'm not sure if they have it out already. Probably not, but would be Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, that would be
Like-
interesting. That would be interesting.
I know it would be probably similar to that of like the Crimson Vow that just came out with a lot of vampires.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you also have things like the Slayer.
Yeah.
Maybe they do extra damage when blocked by vampires or something like that, as well as a ton of demons.
Yeah.
Also, it's very nostalgic for
Yeah.
a lot of people, whether
Yeah.
they're younger and came across it or like my parents watched it when I was growing up. So
Yeah.
if you're even in your 40s and 50s there, it's still nostalgic for
Yeah.
you.
I like that, and that kind of sparked an idea that I hate, but I would love to see as a secret lair. I would not want to see it as like Commander product. Please don't do it, but do it as a secret lair. Is oh no, Supernatural.
Oh, yeah.
Supernatural.
Same
yeah.
sort of vibes as Buffy. Where it's
Both
just
here
like-
right now, Arcane Signet as the like anti-possession tattoo.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah. Yeah. For me personally, there's a lot that I'd love to see enter Magic the Gathering, especially now that we've just kind of broken down this dam. But the two specifically that really hit home for me is one, a little niche series that is getting a new game in the next couple of years, Fable.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
No, love that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. It's already like right on the boundary of that, but
You
it's
could
like
get
a nice,
titles like Chicken Chaser.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. No, gotta have that
as
chicken
like,
chaser.
as like another kind of like roll or something sort of thing.
Yeah.
That goes to
Yeah,
those
like
cards.
the roll enchantment aura tokens. Like you could do something like that for that. It would be a really fun way to add on to the new like Wilds of Eldraine kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that. And then the other one, which I would probably will never see just because of the corporatized nonsense that goes into some of this, but we might, considering there was a crossover between Godzilla and this property before, and now Godzilla and Magic the Gathering, Pokemon.
Oh,
Oh,
Pokemon
yeah.
would be fun.
Can I please get a fire, like it's Charizard, right? What better way to reintroduce fire breathing on a goddamn creature
Oh,
than
absolutely.
Hold
You
on,
can't
hold
make
on. The
Charizard
only-
a dragon, though.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was literally
Charizard's
just
not
about
a
to say
dragon.
The only way Charizard will ever be labeled as a dragon.
But hey, there's the Mega Evolution, which they gave him the dragon type.
Yes, the only way he's a dragon is through.
Make him a flip
Mega.
And then
card
you're-
so that he can change
I
into a
mean,
dragon.
I
Yeah.
need a Pikachu that knows surf. That's what I really
That's
need right there.
hilarious.
That's
right.
Yes.
Right? It's just like I think Pokemon would lend itself so well to Magic the Gathering, and just
Absolutely.
like all of the abilities you can do. Like you've got just the typing in Pokemon really opens the door to just like, oh yeah, so you've got your
I mean,
Electrode, and you've got your Magnemite, and you've got your Kling Clang, and it's like, okay, yeah, here's your artifact creature types.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You've got your
Absolutely.
you've got like your Master Ball. It's gain control of target creature.
Oh,
like,
heck
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Why
Oh
not?
man. Diving into that, I'm thinking, and there's not a snowball's chance in hell that we're gonna get this, but I mean, Sonic,
A Sonic.
the Sonic universe, get
I think-
Dr. Eggman.
I think I could be wrong about this, but I think there was like a social media rumor got spread around where they were gonna do a Sonic secret lair.
Yeah, I would
But I
assume
don't
smaller
think
properties
so.
like Sonic, maybe even like Mario, that kind of stuff.
Mario jump.
Yeah.
We'd
Mario.
probably see more secret lair than actual like full set product.
I
Yeah.
honestly
Yeah.
think like if there's gonna be any more multiversal things that are gonna come out, it's definitely gonna be those like very popular nostalgic things like Mario and that kind of stuff. Like I think that
brilliant.
that's what they're gonna try and target 1st. Other than that, like it's obviously also going to be things that are owned by Hasbro as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, also any excuse for Hasbro to open the door to like what other IPs can they put in their pocket?
yeah.
All right, we've reached. We're just drifting over an hour here. Is there anything specific that y'all want to kind of chit chat before we enter here? No,
No.
No questions here.
All
Be
right.
good. Be good to
Actually,
others,
I
and
do
you're
have
amazing.
I do have
You're
a
wonderful.
fun point before we jump off on this.
Yeah.
Considering we have Doctor Who right here, and
Yep.
we were just talking about it. Huge missed opportunity. The Doctor should have been Planeswalkers.
Well, they already said that they're stepping away from Planeswalkers, and this was their example of doing it in a twisted, weird way, where it's Planes Chase.
No,
All of
that's
these
fair.
decks come with Planes Chase cards.
Which I thought was
Yeah.
a very unique thing to do for it. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Nice
It was,
little
it was a
add.
good way to
Being
bring
someone
that
who's
back.
new, what is Planes Chase? Because I don't know that.
So Planes
Yeah.
Chase, Planes Chase is a secondary format to the game, functionally only around Commander, but it can kind of be played in other ways. It's sort of like a global enchantment that goes to the board. A Plains Chase card is effectively, you start the game and you have the Plains Chase dice, which if you roll, let's say 1s and 6s. 1 is you Plains Chase, which you will go to a plane. It's like right here, this mat is of the Locust God on Amonkhet. So Amonkhet will have its own plane, which is its own separate card that has an effect that goes towards the battlefield.
Okay.
It'll be like when you Plains Chase here or while you're here, all of people's mana taps for 2 mana, or whenever a player like casts a spell, they create a token. It's just something that adds a global effect to the board. And then there is the chaos, and the chaos is kind of a secondary effect where, of course, you're rolling this dice for whether or not you Plains Chase or you get chaos. If you hit chaos, there's like another effect, which is, let's say, like the initial is here's double. Everybody has double mana. You roll the chaos. Okay, all of your creatures now get like a crater hoof effect, which is like they're all buffed by each other creature that you control.
Yeah.
Oh, so it adds an entire new level to the game.
Yeah.
There is a very high chance that, when you roll the dice, it does nothing, because as a 6-sided die, it's got 4 blank sides, and then one side is the chaos symbol, and the other side is the planeswalk symbol.
Yeah.
So you land on planeswalk, you'll flip to a new planes.
Yeah.
So essentially, to put it in very simplistic terms, is Plains Chase is a mini game within the game.
Yeah.
Because you have a little deck in between everybody that is technically not in the game, but it affects the game.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the game, you flip the card. You flip the top card, whatever planes you're in, it gives you that effect, and whatever the chaos effect is. Usually it can be good, it can be bad, so on and so forth. Each Plains Chase card is different. If you hit the Plains Chase symbol on the dice, you flip to a new Plains Chase. If you hit the chaos die, it affects the chaos, whatever the plane you're on.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
There are also extra added in cards that are in the Plains Chase deck known as Phenomenas, which are things that will greatly affect the game even more, either good or bad, but they are, I can't remember if they're static throughout the rest of the game.
I think there's some that are and some that aren't.
Yeah. So, like, if you hit a Phenomena card, like, for example, it could be, like, everyone has no maximum hand size for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
For people who were around before Plains Chase, we used to call that roll the enchantment.
Yeah.
And so you just get a list of name of the enchantments that you had, and then when you roll the die, you get an enchantment, and that's what happens. Sometimes you get double mana, sometimes you half your life total.
Yep, absolutely. And you will see some Plains Chase content on our channel coming up here soon, especially now that we have all 4 of these kicking around. We don't know yet whether or not we're going to do like mild edits to them or play them straight out of box. But you will. This is probably going to be like our inaugural episode of Plains Chase for the channel, with plenty more on the way. And then we've got a lot more Oathbreaker, a lot more Commander. Sooner or later, we'll get to actual like Pauper 60 and Pauper Commander as well. There's so much that we want to do with content on this channel.
And you know what? I know that everybody loves Commander, but there is so many ways to play this game, and to limit to Commander. I mean, there's so much more out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Variety is the spice of life.
Even for people that are just starting to get into this game, like you were, and stuff like that, or people that haven't even tried to start playing yet, like, it's realistically just finding the format and just seeing what works best for you, right? Yeah. Like, and I always recommend to people, try and start with a single color and then work your way up, because it's just easier that way. Unless you want to go balls to the walls, like one player that I met one day, he's like, I don't know what to start with, and I'm like showing him Commander precons and stuff like that, and he like immediately goes after the 4-color deck, and I'm like,
no, I stand by it. A quick little anecdote before we shut her down here. Me and Brady recently got a person interested. They were just kind of sitting on the sidelines while me and they were playing. They wanted to kind of learn, and they were like, well, they wanted to sit in for a game. So I handed them what I still stand by is the perfect teaching tool for Magic the Gathering: 5-color slivers. Because the hardest hurdle that I think you have to get over in learning Magic is how mana works. It's weird to think about. It's like, okay, hey, you have this card that you tap, you're using it like money, where it's like you have to pay for this, but then learning like how the colored symbols match. How like, oh, you have one green and you have all these other colors, but it's like, okay, so I have to pay for that one green, and then like there's a 3 on this. Like, okay, that I think is the biggest hurdle. So I handed them, sat them down. I'm like, okay, yeah, and it's like it's a bad built slivers. It's not meant to be oppressive because slivers can be unsurmountably oppressive.
It's always oppressive.
It's always oppressive. But I handed them this deck, and we're like kind of guiding them through like the mana base. So just being like, okay, yeah, that's how, because the rest of the deck plays its goddamn self. You played this sliver? Oh, cool. That sliver is now just the exact same creature, basically, as all your other creatures. That's all you got to worry about. You don't have to think about your creatures. You don't have to think about the rest of the cards in the deck. You just have to figure out how the fucking mana works.
Essentially, like for a I do agree. Slivers is really easy for someone to learn with.
Yeah.
Just because of the factor, like the only thing that they realistically have to pay attention to
Mana.
is not even just the mana. It's they have to pay attention to what's on field.
Oh, goodbye. Sudden shift in camera angle here. Our other camera died, but good thing we had both of them going. Yeah, it's a better place to end it than there.
It's the omen. It's we're destined to stop here. So it's been a pleasure being with you all.
Yeah, lovely having you all.
It was great being here.
Right on. Bye.
Bye.